welcome to the Knock On KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast. We missed you last week. We weren't on, of course. Life gets in the way of lots of things. We do get busy, but we've plenty to chat about this week. We said we'd give James an extra week as well to get over his Rosh's hangover that he would have had from the Towns Cup win. And of course, we're going to kick off the chat with that with Tom Crotty from Carlow Rugby Club, James Blanchfield from Kilkenny. James, we have to start with you. Like earlier in the season, we have to set this in context. There was COVID, there was lads injured, there was doom and gloom in the league for Kilkenny. Where are we going to be? We're fighting to stay in Division 1A. Them games were hairy enough, down to a Tim Corkery kick at one stage as well. And then turn it around and you have a Towns Cup now in your back pocket. First time in 20-odd years. Happy days.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think, personally, I always knew, and a lot of people in Kilkenny always knew, that when we got our full-strength team back on the pitch, that we would compete, but not only compete, that we could probably, nobody could match us with our full-strength team. And I think the Leinster League, we go back to the beginning of the Leinster League. Gorey away, scrum woes cost us that game. Then we won 2 games on the bounce, and then we just injuries, and we went on this absolute horrible run of form. We beat Sutton in Kilkenny, and we beat Dundalk and Kilkenny, and then it just went on this absolute horrible run of form to the stage where we had Monkstown at home, and I think we shipped about 57 points to 7 against Monkstown. And guys were hurting after that game. And I remember that man on the screen. I remember speaking to Jake MacDonald in the front room the night of the Monkstown game, and he was hurting. And I spoke to him again last Sunday night about that same conversation that him and I had in the front room that night. And the rhetoric was the same. When we get our full-strength team back on the pitch, we know nobody will compete with us. Turn Christmas, Bective at home. We should have beaten Bective at home, but we realised then that we can compete with our full-strength team. The lads got belief. With a minute to go in the Dundalk game, not a minute to go, a minute into overtime, it was game over. We were relegated. We went over in the corner. Hugh Corkery nailed that conversion. More belief. Stevie Ashmore spoke about lads sticking together. They stuck together. We beat Ashbourne at home. We secured our position in the league. Happy days. Into Cup. At Eden Derry away, we beat them. Then we had Carlow at home. That was like, Carlow at home was the winning of the league, the winning of the Cup for us, I think. It kind of was a real Cup affair. Then just look at the Cup final last week. I suppose Dundalk in the semi-final. We stacked our bench with forwards. That gamble paid off. And Ashbourne in the final, lads, I think it's a just reward for the guys. I mean, I always knew somewhere deep down that there was a cup in this team. And in fairness, there is a cup in them. They've won it. But the performance against Ashbourne was just on point. It was kind of, I believe it was the culmination of what has been a whole lot of bitter disappointment this year, with performances, with guys being injured, with heads being down, to getting guys back, to getting the culture going, to get the right atmosphere in the camp, to the point then where they absolutely just blew Ashbourne away. We went into the game against Ashbourne with our full-strength team, our full-strength squad. And on that note, there's a couple of few guys who deserve credit, and Lyndon Brannigan being one. Like, he's played first all season long. He played the first round of the Cup, but didn't make the semi-final and final squad. Andrew Warner being another guy who came back to us. Kieran Sutton. There's so many guys who contributed during the season that weren't in the Cup squad. But some guys came in and made a difference. Joe Moynihan being one. Joe was injured all season but came back for the semi-final and final to do a job in the scrum. He did his job in the scrum. But on the final, like Ashbourne, we knew what we were going to get from Ashbourne. I don't think they really expected what they were going to get from us. because our full strength team hadn't been tested until Cup Rugby, particularly the Carlow game at Kilkenny, which realistically was the biggest test in the Cup that we faced this year. But in the final, we just played unbelievable attacking rugby. We were under pressure in the scrum early on, but we got parity in the scrum. Then we got scrum dominance. Once we had that, we were home and hosed, I think. Our set piece was our out of touch. Our set piece was immaculate. Wes took a couple of air balls. Our back row was superb in the final. Everyone was superb, but it goes to show the difference of having an out-and-out season number 9. That was probably one of the key points for us, was Jake's performance in the semi-final and final. Jake McDonald set the tone with the first up and under from the kickoff. He absolutely paced it. The Ashbourne full back, I think it was, from that kickoff. And you know what? I'm not going to dwell. I don't mean this negatively on Ashbourne, because they're a good side. Their game plan was a little bit rudimentary from my eyes. It was easy read, but I think the Towns Cup has to go down to the performance of our guys. We're saying to ourselves, if we got them on a dry day, what could we have done when our backs could have gotten a real cut at them? But I was chatting with Stevie Ashmore the other day, and the level of support that we got from the Southeast clubs, like, I mean, the number of messages that came in from Carlow, from Tullow, from New Ross, New Ross, Enniscorthy, Wexford, it's been phenomenal. You know, all of those clubs came to us, supported us. Debbie Carty was one of the most vocal people at the match last Sunday week. People are so happy. There was a huge party in Kilkenny. It was a 3 or 4 day party, I'd say. Luckily, there was no podcast last week, because I wouldn't say I would have been any fit state to join it. But, you know, it's great. And then the girls going on winning their cup final last Sunday or Saturday as well. Look, it's just been a great finish to the season for the club. The seconds had a good run in the plate. They got a lot of atmosphere around the setup. There's been a couple of retirements from the men's team. Simon O'Hara, who joined us 3 years ago from Waterford City. He's living in Kilkenny and married up here. He's after hanging up the boots. But special mention has to go to Martin Lahey. Word came down to us from a tie 10 years ago when Stevie Ashmore came to us first. And he's given everything to Kilkenny for 10 years. As I said to someone recently, he arrived with an old chapped out Kildare GA bag over his shoulder to play a J2 match against Carlow in Carlow. And 10 seasons later, he is a Leinster League Division 2A, 2 Leinster League Division 1Bs, a Towns Plate, a South East League, and I suppose the cherry on top being a Towns Cup medal. And it's not a bad way for Mort to go out. But he's been a fair servant to Kilkenny for the last 10 seasons. So he's going to be a loss to us. His personality alone in the team is going to be a hard thing for us to replace. But you know what? Our name is on the Towns Cup, and there's 20-year gap bridged. Funnily, we've won now 6 Towns Cups, and Jerry MacDonald has been involved in 4 of them as a player in '86, as a coach in 2001 and 2002, and as director of rugby this year. So it's a fair achievement for Jerry Mac and his young fella Aidan, or Jake, captain, who's captained us to it. So MacDonald have been instrumental in everything we're doing as a club. So we're delighted. We're absolutely delighted, and I'm happy for Dave O'Connor. And I said it to the Bull Hennessy and Johnny in the post-match interview. It would have been very easy for another coach to throw their hat at it when things were going really, really wrong, kind of from November through to January. But Dave kept his finger on the pulse. He kept the atmosphere right. He was getting young fellas into the team to top up the team. Some of those young fellas didn't make the cup squad as well. But Dave O'Connor, Steve Ashmore, John Buckley, Eamon Dooley particularly, and a lot of what Eamon did as manager went unseen. But, you know, they've just all worked so hard to achieve this, and we're delighted.
Absolutely. And congratulations, James. We're all, absolutely, I think, very, very happy to see that as well. Following progress all year. We were here talking about all those down in the dump stories and all that earlier in the season and that as well. But to turn it around and get a Towns Cup is incredible stuff as well. Tom, your thoughts on it?
Just on the point though of all the Southeast clubs contacting us, we're immensely thankful to all of the clubs for the support that they've shown us. You know, I think there's probably been a little bit of a turn in the southeast in the last little while. That we're all probably becoming a little bit closer as clubs, and I put a lot of that down to the work that Debbie Carty has been doing, and southeast reps and clubs have been doing over the last few years. So just a word of mention to the southeast branch for their support.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think huge congratulations to Kilkenny. You've worked bloody hard for it, so nobody knows more than us, because we've had first-hand information from start to finish the season on Kilkenny. So I mean, we knew when you had your down days, and you knew when you had up days. But I think that run into the cup final that you had, meeting Eden Derry, in fairness, who gave you a fair whack, and I think it was into the first half, and that leveled you up. Then you had us. We threw the kitchen sink at it against G. A phenomenal game, and then to play Dundalk, another tough game coming into it, and to get to that's how you win cups. I mean, you have to get through. People go, the draw. When we saw, we knew we were going to play Kilkenny, it was like, grand, you have to, if we wanted to win the cup this year, we had to beat G. If you want to win it, you have to beat us. So it's simple. It's cup rugby. I said before, but everything has to align, and you make your own luck. Things, if you're playing well, things go your way. Things start going your way, and we would say it's like when we were winning Towns Cups in Carlow, it was the bounce of a ball. It was Harry kicking ball. Penalties. You don't necessarily have to be the best team all the time. It's to be consistently work as a unit and as a team. And I have to say, Kilkenny really pulled it together from 1 to 23 or 24, 25 coming into that. I know you had lads who didn't make it, and it's a horrible thing. Back in the day, you didn't even get a medal if you didn't finish on the pitch. So and you actually didn't get a medal. There was no replacement medals. No, you couldn't buy a medal to add to it. You just got nothing. And that's how important the Towns Cup is. But just to see the whole atmosphere coming into it, I think it's a huge sporting event, and anybody out there who looks at rugby as a sport, I think all you had to do was look at the atmosphere. And unlike other sports, you hit the nail on the head, James. Unlike other sports, we actually support each other. Area support. Now, it's not going to say we won't support the Navans or this, but they open their own areas. People support their own. Like the Southeast is a massive thing. We're phenomenal down here. We have such a great underage system coming through. From the girls from under 16s up, base, the Southeast teams, the same base for the boys. Like all that extra training and coaching that comes through the Southeast, the support that you have underage, built on then into the junior, into the Southeast Junior Committee. Like it's huge support, and all, players get so much out of it, and any of those players coming back to your club are one, they have experience. We would notice now, and I'm sure you would notice from youths, that the kids that go off and they play Southeast, and maybe get a run into the Leinster, but it's not even about making Leinster. It's the extra coaching and the fantastic coaching and facilities that we have at Southeast as a Southeast unit, that those players come back to your club, and they pass on to other young lads. It just adds. It adds so much. So you hit the nail on the head. We do owe an awful lot of thanks to nobody realizes the work that goes on behind the scenes.
And it's easy for people to give
coaching
out
to management. Yeah,
it's easy for people to find problems, but the work that's going in at club level, and you're right in Southeast level. I'm on the coaches group with Kilkenny. Every night there's a group of kids gone somewhere with the Southeast. Be it under 14 girls, boys, the whole way up. There's kids gone everywhere. And your comment there on coaching, and going away, that can only bring, there's probably 95% of the squads of the club squad don't make the Southeast selection. But the 5% that are there, the 10%, whatever it is, they're coming back and they can only improve the players around them as well. And it's kind of it's a cascading kind of culture that what you're doing in Southeast, you're bringing back to the clubs. And, a young girl might see Johnny, who's down with the Southeast, doing something, and he'll start picking up on it. It's kind of monkey see, monkey do kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just think I think we're blessed. We're blessed to be in a situation that we're surrounded by clubs that actually do support each other, and like even picking up the phone to host finals or to host semi-final. Anytime I run a 14s competition, Leinster 14s competition. Anytime I've asked for help from any Southeast club, or we're talking to the lads in the Southeast, they go above and beyond to help you out, and to see the talent that's there is absolutely unreal. And for any parents that there have any doubts about their kids playing rugby, they should come and watch them, because and just see the support. It is a phenomenal. We are blessed. We actually have a phenomenal sport.
Hopefully now we can get kind of the Southeast selection back this year for a tour back over to Apparavan over in Swansea for a trip.
Yes, Sprocket.
It's Sprocket onto the scene. But just what you were saying around the cup, Tom. I was chatting with someone the other day over a pint. It was a drunken pint as well, as you'd expect after the night of the cup final. But and it's no consolation to you, but the toughest opposition that we faced in the cup was Yee. I would like to think, and I said it the last day out, I don't see anything stopping you guys kicking on from the season you've had.
Oh, absolutely! We were, we're thrilled with what there was. I know it didn't come out in silverware from a first point of view. Look, our seconds went unbeaten in the league. One mess up so far this year. We lost against Gorey, but if we had the team we had played on Sunday, we were just caught playing Gorey at the wrong time. We were missing a bit of experience. We've no experience on the pitch. We have a bit of experience back on the pitch on Sunday. We played Kilkenny on Sunday, and there was some serious players on that Kilkenny team too.
There was.
And we kind of said, "Jeez, that this is going to be absolutely flat to the boards." But our lads went out, and there was just something there. There was a hunger there. I know there's a double hunger. I know you probably had a bit of a hangover, but we had double hunger because we had the last to yourselves in the Towns Cup was rammed down onto the kind of we didn't want to go out twice to Kilkenny, and the other thing then was the fact we were really peeved over losing to Gore or losing to Enniscorthy. Realistically, we shouldn't have lost that game with the squad that we have. But we just hit it on an unfortunate day. We were missing a few key players, and that just and they had a couple of foul heads up. That's rugby, but we're delighted with the season. We're happy. We're happy as a club. We're very happy. We want to move on now to hopefully we'll try and win that second place. We're playing Athboy, North Meath selection or combination in the final. They beat Byrne, so that won't be an easy game. But the lads are hungry for it. But it's great. But isn't it great to have lads that want to actually go training? I know we cancelled training tonight because there was a few sore bodies after Sunday, and the lads had two tough games. They beat Gorey and Gorey. So now, but they want to go back training on Thursday. So fingers crossed they'll do the business.
Yeah. Leinster Juniors, good selection for good representation from the three clubs as well. I think 2 from Tullow, 2 from Carlow, 2 from Kilkenny, isn't it?
Yeah.
One from Tullow, was it, Frank?
No, two definitely from Tullow. There's Jack Mack and Stephen is there as well.
Yeah, Stephen's there as well. And Wes Carter, actually, congratulations to Wes. He's selected as captain this year. So Wes has been a big player for us this year. Just congratulations to him on his selection as captain.
Yeah, I think they went out. They lost to Ulster in the first game. But I was talking to Corey afterwards, and Corey said, well, they could have lost by a lot more or they could have won it. So that was kind of the way it went. They went with the bomb squad. They had a big bench. They put like that. they went with five forwards and 2 backs because of Ulster were seemingly their size. But I don't know. I didn't get to that game. Hopefully, I might get to see the next one. But
they had a lot of Estonians guy in their pack, and I watched Estonians
7.
versus Bective, and their Estonian scrum was savage.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Our women, just to mention them, I can't move on without mentioning. I know you're probably going to come to it anyway, Stephen, but congratulations.
Oh, no, work away. Yeah.
They really G'd themselves up from the disappointment of the league, missing out in the league on scoring difference, or try scored, I think is what it was. But in fairness to them, they've recovered, and Paddy Moss and Mags and Co, they all deserve great credit for what they've done. How they've pulled women's rugby pretty much out of the dikes back into the success that they're having, because it was on a low ebb here in Kilkenny 2015-16. We lost our team, they fell asunder, they were on the ground, below the ground, and the Moss sisters, Aoife Kelly, Rosie Miller, all of these players, they just came out, and I think the success for the women on Saturday has been the culmination again of a lot of work by a lot of people. And I don't really want to get into naming names, but I think Mags Hennessy deserves a major kudos and a thanks from Kilkenny Rugby Club for sticking by her guns and keeping women's rugby going in Kilkenny when it would have been very easy to fall away. And we as a club admittedly took our eye off the ball in 15-16. But Mags was the driving force to keep it going, and she brought Gary Brickell in behind her, and Derek Lawler, Peter Hart, Mary Louise Brodie, and Paddy Moss himself. And you know what? I will stand to be corrected, but I think it's the first women's trophy ever to come back to Kilkenny. We're playing women's rugby in Kilkenny since 1998. And you know what? It's the first women's trophy, and massive credit to them all. Aoife Kelly there was captain. And Emer Kelly, was captain. And by God, lad, she is some rugby player. She's number 13. She has everything. She has hands, she has speed, she has power. If she sees a gap, she goes through it.
A few tries scored as well this season.
A few tries scored. But funnily enough, she's emulated her old man. Her old man was part of the 1986 team that won the Towns Cup. So it was nice. It was a nice little thing for her there. Her father, Paddy Kelly, or the Block, as he's better known. Great to see them win it. We're delighted. We're absolutely thrilled for them, and they deserve it.
Absolutely. And huge success as well for Tullow over the weekend. Of course, Johnny's not here today to talk about it, but the men's and the women's side winning as well. The women win the Paul Flood Cup. Yeah, great team there as well. And they won it only a couple of years ago as well, but great work being done in Tullow by that. And the lads, of course, did as well as they could this season. This says winning the Towns played and sending off their coach in style as well. He's going to be a huge loss, so he is.
He'd be delighted for Morris.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think that was the key factor with the lads coming back. I was talking to Paddy Brown, the president. And most years, a lot of clubs will just kind of go, you'll go out and you come to the place and you go, oh right, you might decide to play, kind of dribble along in it. But Tullow regrouped after the league and after going out in the cup, and they seem to have regrouped. They have a good bunch. Tullow always have a good bunch of lads there. They're very close, and they brought in a couple of young fellas there. There was the two Johnson brothers, Robin's two sons. They're both two fine young fellas. They came in on board on that, so they had a big push because of Morris, I think, to go win that place. So fair dues to them, and hats off. They had a very successful weekend as it goes with underage and with the women's. The fine women's team, and Aho and I can't remember the other, and Pookie. They had the two coaches obviously did a great job with them too.
Seattle, they're lined up there with the men there, the second team as well. I thought he was retired.
Player like Aho will never be retired. He's like Simon Manuel at Kilkenny. He'll always come out. I guarantee you, lads, you'll see Aho back playing again next year at some stage.
100%. And of course, the talk, we interviewed Alex O'Brien on our sports show last night just about that win at the weekend. And we were talking about her brother Sean, who's retired. And the rumours have been swirling around about Sean coming back to throw on a Tullow jersey. And it's gathering a bit of steam now. So
now there's a rule around that, I believe, though. Because I remember Tonians got in trouble a few years ago when Tom Sexton came back from the Queensland's Reds and went straight into junior rugby. I think there's a rule where you can't go straight from professional rugby back to junior rugby. I think there needs to be a 2-year gap. Now, I don't know if it's true, and I hope it's not, because I'd love to see Sean play for Tullow.
Absolutely.
I think, believe it or not, I think that rule is in there. It was brought in for a safety point.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's what we're told. But
who's safety now? His or whose safety?
Well, there's two ways. There's two ways. There's two ways of looking at it. I'm sure Sean.
Go on, Tom.
Well, there's two ways of looking at that. I'm sure Sean would love to be trying to roll over a few black and ambers and a few black and whites on his way, and I could see him doing that with a smile on his face. But the other thing is, you'll also have young lads trying to have a cut of him. So
I saw it when Golov was with us. When Golov came to play the 2 seasons with Kilkenny after he left Munster back, mid 2000 or 2005, 2004, 2005. The man had a target on his back. Everywhere he went is all people want. I remember seeing him up in Nace one day. It's all people wanted to do was not just tackle him. They wanted to absolutely kill him. Like, I mean, I remember seeing one ruck and lads going into rucks, and it was like Riverdance. They were just, lads were going to rucks looking for him. I actually felt sorry for him. Now, look, that was back in the day when you could do that. But you have a big target on your back, and it can be very frustrating for a player as well to come down to junior level and from AIL or from pro rugby like that. But it does work two ways, Tom. Like I said, I saw it with Golov that day up in Nace. The stuff that was done to him was absolutely criminal. But you couldn't blame it. I'd have done the same. Like, you would have done the same. You have a fella there who's been playing pro rugby for a few years. Of course you're going to try and go and have a cut off.
Oh, absolutely. And
I saw Mallow Kelly when he was with and Mike Ross when they were with Malahide a few years ago. Like, it was the very same.
Oh, that's it. So you had it. Hold on now a minute. We had the other end of that too. We had to play against Willie Duggan and
he was the nicest man you'll ever come across
on a pitch.
Nicest man you'll ever.
I'm sure there's a few lads backs and stuff and have something to say about that.
Yeah. I know, but look at it. Back on point, you'd love to see Sean playing for Tullow. I think it'd be so, but I personally can't see it happening.
Yeah, 2 years is a long time to wait for a back row as well. They go with shape or whatever. Possibly, you never know. Like what's going to happen. I'm sure
he has an awful lot on his plate at the moment, trying to figure out where he's going. Because he's the farm there and all so on, and he's such a nice fella as well.
Actually, and he sent us our best wishes for the cup final as well. And when we lost in 2014, he came back to Kilkenny on the bus with us when Ashbourne beat us in Tullow. Like he's one of the nicest fellas you'll come across.
Yes, Sean is a very nice guy. Very nice guy.
Absolutely. We won't rule out coaching with the team next year anyway, depending on where he is, if he's still in London or whether he comes home. It's all remains to be seen. Tom is having the chats there. Just put him on mute there for a second. So James, for a lot of success underage. Sorry, Tom, I'll unmute you there now.
It's been a great season for us.
Young fella came in, sorry. And he's not even that young anymore.
I have a list here, like, just to suppose not to be hogging it with how great Kilkenny are, but we've won the Towns Cup, we've won the Women's Cup, the under 14 girls won a plate, the under 18 girls won the Southeast plate, the under 13 boys are in a plate final in Donnybrook this coming Monday. So they'll all remember that, but we cannot take our eyes off the target that winning the cup is only short-term success. We need to park it now, and their names on the cup. but you need to prepare for next season, don't we? And planning and getting things right, because September's not going to be uncommon.
No.
And there'll be players moving on, and there'll be players coming in, and that group of players now from us are gone down in history, and they'll never be forgotten.
Absolutely. That's all it's all about. A bit of a legacy there. And we spoke about it here the last few weeks about legends that are made, Towns Cup winners that we still talked about in years to come. Remember that lad, Doc O'Connor, he won his Towns Cup in 2022 and to be talking about in 20 years' time. And it's great stuff. Tullow, lots of wins this weekend as well. They are under 18s, won their plate final as well. They're under 13s were in action as well.
They won their plate final.
Yeah, and with some of the girls' teams and that as well, Tom. Great success locally as well. It's great to see, of course, here as well. And Tom, when is your plate final, your second plate final?
Hopefully not this weekend. Hopefully the 8th.
Right.
8th of May.
Hopefully
we're trying to aim for trying to get that in. I know it's a week later than expected, but there's weddings and a lot on this weekend. So I think in the bank holiday, I think they were happy enough to put it on to the 8th as well. So to avoid this weekend.
Absolutely, it's the way to do it. Yeah, great stuff. So great to have a good positive chat, I suppose, with the local stuff. Just really briefly before we wrap up the podcast, just in terms of Leinster, Munster into URC action now. You've got Connacht and Leinster down in South Africa. The Leinster lads unlucky, I suppose, not to win last weekend as well. Sort of beaten at the death with a relatively, and I suppose we can say it, a very, very young side sent down there as well, so it's not the worst. And of course Munster have kept their momentum going, James, after their win over Exeter as well in the Champions Cup. They sort of kept that into the URC. You see a bit of a spark back in there as well.
You can. I think you were down at the Exeter game, Tom. It was incredible.
It was absolutely phenomenal. There's just the atmosphere, the whole thing. Look, I think they have. I think the fact that they've got their coaching ticket sorted for next season kind of might have settled things down a little bit.
When you say ticket, it appears in the media. What the media are saying is like the ticket is finalised by all accounts. It's looking like Liam Prendergast coming in, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. Like it's
no. I think they're still off the mark. I mean, it was phenomenal for Leinster to think that Leinster can go down with a separate coaching ticket. Like they still have their coaches at home, coaches down there, a full squad in Dublin, a full squad down below. Like it's just unbelievable. And I know people are kind of saying, geez, it's a very young team to throw them down. But I tell you, those lads will be blooded like they've never been blooded before. Playing the South Africans, they'll come back a different side. And the only worries, Kelleher came back. He got a bit of an eagle. I think they're worried with him, and also James, the other hooker.
James
Tracy.
Tracy. I think he has a bit of an eagle too. So
tell me this, lads: was there a contentious try against Leinster? Was there? Was there something around a foot in touch or something? Or I didn't see the game, but I was traveling. But
I think it was there. It wasn't Leinster's try. It was the
South Africa try.
The South Africa try.
Okay.
Yeah, there was obviously, I think, a foot in touch, and it just
it was Connacht, was it? It doesn't matter.
No, you're right. I think it was Connacht. It wasn't the Leinster game. It was Connacht game. And Connacht did very well. I mean, Connacht got a good win. They've actually beaten all the South African teams they've played.
Yeah, I like Andy Friend's honesty, lads. I think he, when they play well, he admits they play well. When they lose, he says, he gives there's no beating around the bush. He gets to the reason. When they win and play poorly. I think his honesty after the Leinster game was brilliant. Like he said, they're probably not better players than us, but they're better professionals. It takes a lot for a coach to come out with a comment like that about his players.
Well, I like the fact he went down to. He's gone to South Africa, leaving behind the players that are not going to be there next season. So he's only bringing the team that's actually going to be there next season.
Yeah,
he left the couple behind. I think Leinster are actually going to, after watching Jenkins play again against Munster, he's starting to come into for
He's a
Richmond.
unit. He's a good tight end.
He's a massive unit, and he's also got hands because he gave a couple of really nice offloads. I think that's a really, really, really good purchase. A very cute purchase by Leinster. I thought Thomas O'Hearn had a great game for Munster again. Young Connellan had a really good game. There's a lot of good players. I didn't like Lowry at 10. I thought Lowry
that didn't work.
Didn't attack at 10. He's really like he's a very, very good footballer. He gets more space at 15, but I think he just went to the line, didn't take the ball to the line, just pass, took it up, pass. Was no attacking threat. And I thought Madigan coming down the second half give them far more options, and it'd be interesting to see now who they'll pick, because I think isn't Burns is still out this weekend, so it'll be interesting to see who they pick at 10. And
I think Madigan is Madigan's underused, lads. Like I think he's fantastic attacking 10. Like,
yeah.
I think the other thing at the weekend, I mean, after watching the Irish ladies, I think it just was a horrible thing to watch. I think they were phenomenal in the first half. I thought the second half they were just completely outmuscled, outgunned by a professional side. I think they're going to seriously have to do something about it, because like England have 20. They're just sort of afterwards. England have they have 28 professional contracts.
Yeah,
wow.
They the Italians now have 25 full professional contracts. France have professional contracts, and Wales are after bringing in professional contracts. Our girls are still trying to put down full-time jobs. They're taking this crap of taking 7 players, or there's 7 players gone to the sevens plus the 2 that's in. There's 9 players out of that team missing.
That's mad.
Which is absolutely
they need
crazy.
to get their priorities right here. Like the priority has to be the 15s game.
But this is coming through the system, and I don't mind who's listening at the moment, because it's a case we had the same thing with Leinster after picking a sevens, taking an under 16s girls sevens, picking girls out to do sevens for sevens. That is also right in the middle of all the 16s finals. Like that is absolutely, whoever thought of it is absolutely sorry. No, it's just not right, because sevens go play it in the summer or something, but don't affect the girls that are. Girls now are already trying to be in the south. Like there's enough to be southeast, but they're not developed enough to take them out. They're trying to play with their teams, and then they're taking out the can't. They're going to training for this sevens and playing sevens. Are we a 7? Are you playing sevens? Are you playing 15? Sevens is not paid either. They go on the trips. They come back. They go back to their jobs. They go back to college. It's not like make up your mind, guys, because I think you're going to destroy girls rugby if you start taking kids out at that age for sevens. It just in the middle of seasons. I just thought it was disgraceful this year, because girls like to go. They had the trials for it, fair enough, in the middle of it, and then they go and they have these tournaments played right in the middle of the 16th finals, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's you know what, that's brainless stuff. Like, I'm sorry, it is brainless stuff.
You know, like James, you saw how hard it is to put your women's team together. We haven't got a women's team, but we were working really hard with Tullow trying to keep the Rhinos going. We had quite a successful year with the 16s. At least the girls got rugby. Got a couple of new girls gone in. We don't have Rhinos at 18s next year. So it'll be Tullow doing with the 18s girls, but there's a couple of girls who are going playing from Carlow who are going to play. Will play 18s next year with them, but we'll have the Rhinos again at 16s and 14s, and hopefully in a year's time we'll have Rhinos for 3 years. But the reason being is we're only a small county. We've two rugby teams in it. You know, it's hard to get that amount of girls. We're trying to give them the best coaching and facilities that we can. And if this is the case that they're going to be fighting against us, the work that we're doing, it's just not right. Absolutely, just not right.
Yeah, well, I suppose in the bigger picture, I see Niamh Briggs was interviewed today. She says that professionalism is coming. You know,
well, it needs to. Yeah.
But you're right, Tom. You're dead right in everything you're saying there. It's farcical.
Yeah, it's a tough call. Like, I mean, there was something said there was 15,000 or something at the Ireland-England match last weekend, and I'm sure that'll nearly double by when you go to play the Grand Slam between France and England. So there's going to be 30. So the numbers are rising to watch the games, but it is not pleasant to watch because we can't, whatever about the big guns, we're going to be so far behind. We're so far behind England and France that it's going to take years to catch up with those. But we should be able to compete with the other three. We should be playing really playing well against Scotland, Italy, and Wales, and that should be it should be competing, competing and beating those teams, and then giving France and England a good game, but not being beaten by 60-something points to nil. That's just it's not good to watch. It's not good for girls to be watching to cheer on. But we just have to look. It's another day and another.
We're not going to solve it.
No, and I just terrible because the women's rugby is flying around, and we're trying so hard to get in girls playing. When they get going, they're so good to coach. They're they pick up things quicker than the boys. They ask questions. They talk like the lads don't talk. They have so much potential there, but and we try to give them the support. So, but they have to have someone to look up to too. If we want to keep them going, but they need to sort out this thing with 7s and 15s and just have a team that's going to actually compete, that we can say to our girls, come on, let's get in the bus and head to the Aviva, and please God, we'll see them in the Aviva at some stage or a full house at the RDS, and you can bring a bus up. In Ireland, they're playing England, and we're not afraid to say, oh God, we're going to get hammered here. We should be going up for a good game. That our girls, the girls will have people to look up to.
Yeah. So, lads,
that's my rant.
Yeah. Thanks a million, Tom Crotty from Carlow Rugby Club, James Blanchfield from Kilkenny. Great stuff to talk about. It's brilliant to be able to talk about winning Towns Cups, plates, and everything else as well. It's good. We're getting towards the end of the season, I suppose, but still a bit of rugby, seconds rugby, and other bits and pieces to be played still, and some underage games as well. And of course, we'll be kept going with the URC and the Heineken Cup for a while. And of course, Ireland are heading off to New Zealand during the summer as well. So there'll be plenty of chat about that a year out from the World Cup. But that's it from the Knock On for tonight. Thanks to Tom and James, and we're back next week.